Hey there, I am Rita.
And I'm Angela.
And we are spiritual coaches. And we understand that there's a lot of talk about mental health nowadays and what people are going through. And what we feel is important for us to do is to kind of give you an idea of how we feel. You know, how do we feel? How do we manage it? And how does that make us even better coaches to work with you? So we're going to call this series, When the Mind is Heavy, the Soul Speaks. It is a healing conversation on coaching and mental health. And so in this session, we have 4 topics that we're going to speak to, but we're going to break them up so that you have time to really listen to them and to work with them. We also have a quote that we will leave with you. And we also have a journal prompt. And that journal prompt is the question to ask yourself. And as Angie said, answer it.
Please.
So that you can stay connected in what you're doing. So this is a learning that we're doing, and we're really excited about it. And we want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you will know every time we are doing one of these conversations. Okay? Absolutely. So, Angie.
Yep.
You want to go first?
I do. Let's start with this first one, which I know is one of those topics that feels a little close to the chest, and it is vulnerability. So Rita, what I want you to do is close your eyes, breathe in and breathe out. I want you to think back to a moment when you felt mentally fragile. What were you carrying alone, and what did you need?
You know, there's a lot of times when I feel fragile mentally. But back in my late 40s, probably early 50s, and I'm sure that my body was going through things. That's the other thing. We don't always know what's happening with our bodies. But in this case, I was down at Nag's Head with some friends, and we were having a great time. We had a house right on the beach. And so we could be out there all day and all night. This particular evening, because we were probably there 4 days, this particular evening, I felt neglected. I felt like everybody was having a good time and nobody was really talking to me. And I felt neglected. And so I left the house. I can see it right now. Walked down the steps and just walked to the beach. And I was looking at the water. I was looking at the ocean, and it sounded beautiful. The moon was shining. It sounded beautiful. And I thought to myself, what if I were just to walk on into the water right now? They'd all be sad. But it would be their fault because they weren't really talking to me. They weren't paying any attention to me. And so I'm thinking seriously about doing that. Now, I don't swim. I don't need to go in much further than I was. But my head, my thinking was I don't know where I was. I don't know where I was. And then standing next to me was one of my friends. It was a guy friend. And he said, "What's happening to you? What are you feeling right now? Because I can see that you have been a little out of it all evening." And immediately, it kind of woke me up. Yeah. And I realized, and I said, yeah, it's been a little funky, you know? And it was something that was brought on by me getting in my head, feeling sorry for myself for whatever reason. And I was fragile. Now, had he not come down, I don't know what would have happened, Ange. Yeah. I really don't. I don't know what would have happened. But I'm very grateful that he did. Yeah. And I'm very grateful that I can talk about it now. And that's what we're here today, to just kind of share some of our own feelings. Yeah.
And that actual level of being vulnerable.
The actual level of being vulnerable, because now you all know, and I don't even know that I've told my kids that. Yeah. You know?
But I think that's such a beautiful thing, because it's not to be anything to be ashamed of. This is where my mind was in this moment. Yeah. But thank God that you had someone that was said, let me ask you.
And that's what we say. As friends, we have to ask. We have to ask.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, that was good, Ree. That was good. For myself, I would say my most fragile mental moment was definitely after my grandfather passed. You know, he was my everything. I always joke and say that he's the one man in my life that taught me how to act like a lady. But the relationship we had was something that was everything to me. And when he passed, actually right before he passed, I remember him in the hospital, and he says, "All right, Ange, I just need you to know you are the glue and you are responsible for holding this family together, because that's what he did. And hearing it at that moment, I mean, I am 21, 22 at the time. And I just remember taking that on thinking, okay, well, you're not going anywhere. You're fine, and whatever. And then when he passed, it's as if I just felt this entire cloak come over me, like a superwoman's cloak that weighed 150 pounds. Mm-hmm. And I recognized that I said, it's, why am I taking on this responsibility? Why is it me? Why was I chosen? And I recognized that just the weight of that put me in such a space that I was like, who am I? Why couldn't somebody else have been chosen? Am I strong enough to do this? I've got my own traumas and my own stuff. How am I supposed to hold this humongous family together? But then what it was is that I recognized that I was carrying the responsibility on my own. So
already?
I thought, right? Right. But then also recognized when he gave it to me that I was also carrying it. But then it was like I went to my book. I went to my Bible. Mm-hmm. And I recognize that I am never carrying anything alone. God is always carrying this cape with me. And even more important than that, he's asking me to give that cape to him.
Yeah.
And that was the part where that breakthrough, where I recognized what I needed was to give it to God.
Yeah.
That my grandfather could tell me to be the responsible one. Because, of course, in my 21-year-old mind, I thought that meant I got to call everyone every day. I got to make sure the family reunion still happen. I got to make sure we get together for Thanksgiving. I got all these things that he did I have to now do too.
You got to order the fried chicken.
Listen, better not order because I know you're going to come out the grave and get me. But in the same, right? But I recognized that I was putting all that on myself. Yeah. When in reality, it's... Yeah. Angela, you can only carry what you can carry.
That's right.
You can only do what you're going to do. And me being exactly who I am will either hold my family. Well, it's not even my responsibility to hold my family together or not. By being who I am, though, I recognize my real role in my family.
Was just being you.
It's just being me.
That's it.
That's it.
That's good.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Good.
So now we're going to move ourselves on over to the quote for today. So Rita, you want me to go ahead and read this quote?
Please.
Okay. I love this quote, y'all. It says, "You don't have to control your thoughts. You just have to stop letting them control you." And that's by Dan Millman. And to me, this one is powerful. So often we allow our thoughts to just control every up and down and where we're moving and what we're trying to do. In reality, just control your present moment, where you are, how you're feeling, what you're doing. Take a good breath and then do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
What's the question that we're leaving with them? The journal prompt.
So I hope you guys are able to see this on your screen. Go ahead and pause this if you need to. Take a picture of this, because this journal prompt, we would love for you to be able to write it in your journal, do it on your phone, talk about it. But the question is, when was the last time I felt mentally fragile? What did I need in the moment that I did not give myself? And what can I do differently next time? So go ahead and put this in your journal prompt. Feel free to, of course, send us a message here in the comments to let us know, how have you been feeling? Yeah. When have you felt mentally fragile, and how did you get yourself through? Yeah.
Okay. That was good.
That's good.
Let's move on to the second topic, which is the benefits of being coached. And it says that sometimes we need someone to hold up the mirror and remind us of who we are beneath the noise. Coaching isn't about fixing you. It's about guiding you back to your truth. And we're often asked, what is the difference between having a therapist and having a coach? And what I find is that the therapist is there to help you to figure out what's happening inside of you. What's going on inside of you? When did it start? Where did it start? Who said it? It's typically way back here. And, they help you to really look at the narrative that you are currently using and trying to figure out, how do we change that? Yeah. But for coaching, and especially when I think about why I enjoy coaching, I want to take you from where you are right now and move you forward. I want to help you with your purpose. I want to help you to figure out where do you fit in on this planet? Why are you here? And so for me, the coaching is so important because it also, and I'm being coached. Let me tell you, I have had coaches for years, and I have 2 or 3 right now. Yeah. My point is that when I have a coach, they can say something that I said, but it sounds different with them saying it. And so it's another person's perspective, but it's from a person who cares for you.
Yep.
It's from a person who respects you. And it's from a person like we are that wants you to get to that place you want to be in. And listen, it's always the journey. You know, there's never a stop. And so you stay with the coach, or if you're with the therapist, you stay with the therapist. I had one lady to say her medication was doing so well, she stopped it. Then she stopped feeling bad. She couldn't figure out why. And her therapist said, 'cause you stopped.
Yep.
So it's important that we are consistent with whatever we have, whomever we have that's working with us.
Yeah.
What do you think the benefits are, girl?
So one thing is that makes me think, coming from a mental health background where I did do counseling work, yes, it is helping people to clearly identify what their boundaries are, and especially that stuff that comes up from childhood. But what I love about what coaching does is that it's going back to that first question, how are you? But getting into those each level. So when we typically talk with our clients, the one thing that I love is that we do that whole 8 dimensions, right? We talk about every single aspect of your life, because so often you'll say, I'm doing fine, everything's good. But when we kind of take that time to go through each one of those levels, which we still do hit some of those things on the emotional, we do sometimes still bring back a little bit of the things from the past, but we're like, where are we trying to get you to? I love telling people oftentimes that, yes, I might have ADHD. I might have a little bit of seasonal depression. I might have some PTSD, maybe some postpartum. Some things are going on in my life, and that still can be true. But can it still be that I'm still a boss at work, that I'm still successfully taking care of myself and my family? I'm still looking for moments of self-care. I am still becoming the successful person that I want to be, in spite of what the diagnosis may say.
That's right.
Right?
Because it's a label.
It's a label. It's
always a
right?
label.
So with this idea that we are pulling you, right? You're getting your what you want in life, your level of success, the things that are for you will pull you towards it. When you have a coach that's good, they're helping you. We're kind of behind you, giving a little gentle push, but we're allowing what's for you to just pull you right on in. And we are there to help meet you at the top, celebrate what you make. Like Rita said, changing that narrative so that you understand what you're actually saying out your mouth. But for us to say, well, how about we look at it this way? How about we look at your situation a little bit differently? How can we show how you can come up and be the best that you can be with whatever the circumstance is, no matter what you might have in your backpack. Yeah. So that's why I love coaching, because you can still have all those things, but you can also still be who you really want to be as well. And as coaches, that's what we are able to do.
Yeah. And it's just so really good when we see, and listen, when we first get a client, typically, even though they say, oh, I really want to be coached, you really don't. Yeah, you really don't, because you don't want to do the work. You don't realize that the work is tough. The work is tough because when we go deep, there are things we uncover that you may have forgotten about, or you just don't want to talk about, which is okay. We don't have to talk about it in the beginning, but it is part of the healing. And so at some point, we have to talk about it. But there is such a thing as resistance. And I want you to really be, even as you're listening here and saying, I'm not going to complete these journal prompts. That's resistance. Why are you listening unless you want to, be healed or be helped? Yeah. That's all this is. So watch the resistance and watch the ego. Yeah. Because the ego will say, well, they got problems. She was getting ready to walk in the ocean. Why I need to get her help? It's because I now understand why I did it and why I won't do it again. Right. So we just encourage you to think about the benefits of having somebody else to hear you, to support you, and to help you to get to where it is you want to go. Yeah. And
even if you've got great girlfriends that you can talk to, recognize that we're trained to do this. That's the other part. And think about how oftentimes people are saying, my friends just keep giving me their burdens.
Yeah.
And you'd much rather have them for the fun times. Yes, they can still help you in some of those moments. But when you have someone that's trained to not only say, tell me your problems, let's vent, get it off your chest, but also, now what are we going to do about it? Versus it just being a vent session.
And it's objective. It's not my girlfriend said, well, I ain't like him no way.
Right. Exactly.
Leave him. Yeah. That's not where we are. Yeah. Yeah, because we're spiritual in that sense.
We're spiritual in that sense. So get yourself a coach.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. The quote. We cannot see our reflection in running water. It is only in stillness that we find clarity. And it is important for me to talk real quickly about the stillness, because we're going to talk about joy next. And both of us will tell you our joy comes from the silence. We'll go into that in the next section. But I want you all, if you don't do anything else, to hear me when I say there are 3 pillars to what it is I want to tell you, that I want to help you to begin to do today. When you wake up in the morning, before you grab your phone, or the turn on the TV, I really want you to get very quiet and write in your journal. Your journal and your pen and your glasses and your candle should be very close to you, or they should be all together in another room. You can even put them in a basket so that you can maybe be outside sometimes. But this is your quiet time before you get started for the day. So you journal. It can be, you can just talk about what you're grateful for. Or you can talk about what's burdening you, or you can talk about what's challenging you, or you can talk about somebody or something. It doesn't matter. It's your journal. But be very honest with what you're writing so that you can get it out of your head. Because if you're bringing yesterday's stuff in with you today, you're not going to be able to hear today because you're too busy thinking about yesterday or wondering what's going to happen tomorrow. Okay? The second step is to read something really positive. That can be a scripture, that can be a motivational piece, but something that enlightens you. Because remember, you've already let go of some of the stuff that was in your head, hopefully most of it. From the writing and then the reading, then you must go into silence. And we suggest that you get an eye mask.
Yes.
I love a blanket. I go in the closet because there's no windows in the closet, and it is very still in there, very still. And so I can go in there and sit and just listen to the silence. We're just listening to the silence. So again, we're going to talk about that a little bit more in the joy, but those are my 3 steps that I encourage you to begin practicing today. And again, you can always connect with either one of us if you need more clarity.
Absolutely.
So I read you the quote. The journal prompt is, what story have I been telling myself that no longer serves me? We could really stop right there.
Yeah, we could. Yep.
What story have I been telling myself that no longer serves me? And what new empowering truth am I ready to embrace with support? And that's where we come in. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Let's move on to the next.
Let's move on to one of my favorite topics, which is joy.
Yes.
Okay. So what this one says is joy is not a luxury. It's your birthright. Now, let's just pause here for a second. I want you to think about what truly lights you up. What is that thing that makes you smile for absolutely no reason at all? And what pulls you back to life, even in the dark? So you want me to start with that one, Rita?
Sure.
So for myself, y'all, I will tell you that what's interesting about this one saying, even when you're in the dark. Now, I will tell you, I find absolute joy in the dark. For many of you know I love nighttime, but really what it is about the night is I love the moon, right? There's something about the mystery behind it, but also the fact that God designed it so perfectly to be able to give us light in our darkest places. So I love just what that imagery gives me, that I am still being illuminated. I'm still having God's light even in my darkest areas. And then like we talked about in our last segment, I love being silent. I'm a talkative person. I could talk all day long and feel fine. But when I get quiet and I get to hear like God talk to me, I get to feel those moments. I even get to have memories of past that just make me feel good, that make me smile for no reason, an absolute reason at the same token, that being quiet allows me to center myself, evaluate myself, hear what God's giving me the next directions, because sometimes I feel like in those dark spaces, it's because of that uncertainty. You know, we talked earlier and we were saying how, you know, when you think of anxiety, I simply think anxiety is that space between fight and flight. It's right there in the middle where your body and your mind is trying to make a decision on what you're going to do. So when I think about those things that bring me joy, it's being able to also make a clear decision on what I'm going to do and allowing the anxiety not to stick around with me so long.
Because not making a decision is a decision and thus stays the anxiety. Yeah.
What about you, Reed? What brings you joy?
Oh my gosh. So of course the silence. We have that in common. And on Saturday mornings, I can sit easily 90 minutes. And again, it feels so good. It just feels so good, So that's one. I do have another one though, because yesterday I just came off of a 30-day fast, and I committed to some things that I knew were no longer serving me well. And they were distractions, and I need to let go of them. And so I practiced fasting for 30 days, and I feel wonderful. The interesting thing is that for me, when I fast, I'm listening so much better. I'm so much clearer. I get ideas, and that's another thing. We create our own reality. And so the ideas that you have in your head, some of them are $1 million ideas, but unless you're paying attention, unless you're listening, and unless you're really examining how you think, you will miss it. And so during a fast, again, some of the things that are distractions of mine, I let go, and it gave me time to really listen. So that has been wonderful for me. It brings me joy that I did it, that I did not go back on my commitment. And I think commitment and intention give you courage, give you permission to do more. And it's deliberate. Yeah. It is deliberate. So along with the fasting, along with the silence, I love the fasting. Yeah.
And another thing that I'll throw in there that I know brings us both joy is that when we have a client that we've been working with and seeing them grow and seeing them have their breakthroughs, that when their moment comes for them to celebrate where they are, that we get to be a part of that with them. Yeah. There is such a joy in being trusted, right? In being that person that helps hold you accountable, that just allows us to feel like God is allowing us to fulfill our destiny. Yeah. And when you can fulfill your destiny, I don't know another thing that doesn't bring you such joy, by being able to say that our clients accomplished something, but even with what we were doing, that it was able to bring a little sense of joy, remind them of the joy that they have in their lives, which internalizes, our joy as well.
And guess what? We already saw it in you.
Right.
We already saw it. We probably wouldn't have pulled you on as a client if we didn't see it.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Okay. What's your quote?
So my quote is, and I love this one.
I do too.
Joy is spiritual. It is different, totally different from pleasure or happiness. It has nothing to do with the outside. It is an inner phenomenon. And for me, when I think of joy, to me, joy is that Holy Spirit on the inside of me. I am supposed to intentionally wake up and choose that joy every single day and have a full understanding that happiness might feel good for a second, but it can be gone within another second. But joy is something that rests, rules, and abides within me.
And you get to choose it.
Every day.
You get to choose it, because if you don't choose it, you probably won't get it. That quote, by the way, was by Osho, O-S-H-O. And I think, too, that it is just very important, again, that when we are thinking about the joy, we separate it, which is what this quote does, from happiness, because it's been raining all week and I have not been a wonderful person. The sun is shining today and I am so happy. But that's going back and forth. That'll drive you crazy right there. And pleasure, anything that's pleasure is like this. Do you know pleasure that just lasts and lasts? No, but joy does. So understand the difference. Understand the difference.
Indeed. No, that one was great. So when it comes to the journal prompts, okay, so back again, we'll put, if you can, pause this video so that you can take a picture of your screen, write this in your journal, do it on your phone, take good notes with this one. And of course, feel free to share this one with us. So the journal prompt reads, what brings me deep soul level joy? I'm going to repeat that. What brings me deep soul level joy? When was the last time I made space for that joy? And how can I prioritize it more intentionally? Go ahead and take some time to really figure out what brings you soul level joy, that thing that makes you smile for no good reason.
Yeah. I love it.
Wonderful.
All right. Our last topic is the invitation. And I want you to think about this. I want you to ask yourself this. Are you feeling emotionally stuck or spiritually disconnected right now? Is that how you're feeling as a result of our conversation? Then I ask you, what is the first small step that you can take? One small step that you can take so that you can get out of this whole emotional, this feeling of however you feel, stuck. I'm going to say stuck. Or I don't even want to use depression. Because stuck is where we start.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's where we start. Mm-hmm. And so what would be your first step? Well, I simply want to share with you that you are welcome to call us. Both Angela and I will offer you a 30-minute complimentary conversation. You would be surprised, pleasantly surprised, at how much we can accomplish with you in 30 minutes. 30 minutes is a long time, but we know the questions that we want to ask. We know the answers that we want to hear from you. And so all you have to do right now is to go to ritaricks.com and go to contact us and then fill it out. Yeah. And we will get back with you. You will leave your email and you'll leave your phone number and we will connect with you. Yeah. That's what we do. But you've got to take that first step. Okay? I would say also, as you're thinking about this, look at you. We said this earlier. Look at where your life is right now. And think about where you'd like to be in 6 months. And 6 months is going to be here regardless. Mm-hmm. So you think about where you want to be in 6 months. And then you go back again and say, this is where I want to be. This is a question that we ask at our retreats. Mm-hmm. This is where you want to be in 6 months. What does that look like to you? Describe it. Now, let's talk about where you are right now. And we use the term rewriting your narrative because you create your reality every day based on how you think and what you say. Okay? Yeah. So all we're doing is asking you to look at who you are right now, look at where you'd like to be in 6 months, and just call us and see if we can shed some light on that.
That's right. And the other part to that is this, with this invitation, we invite you to choose yourself. We invite you to choose you, right? You might be so busy doing everything else, taking care of everybody else, putting everybody else's oxygen mask on themselves instead of yourself. Mm-hmm. This is an invitation to give yourself permission to say yes to you. Yeah. Believe that you deserve this. If you feel like you're stuck, the one thing we always say, if you feel like you're stuck, don't keep doing the same thing that you've been doing because you're only going to get more stuck and you're not going to get out of that space, right? So it's taking the time to say, no, I choose me. I'm going to choose to talk to Angela and Rita. I'm going to choose to at least let them ask me the questions to even see how in alignment or out of alignment I really am. You know, choose yourself, realize that you are worthy of it, and allow us to help you even find that motivation that you feel like maybe is lost. But take the invitation. It's open.
It's open.
Yeah.
At no cost to you.
That's right.
Here's the quote, and it's anonymous, so we don't know who the author is. Don't hesitate to ask for help. It is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. So get rid of that ego that's saying, you don't need that. Yeah. You don't know those folks. Yeah. Get rid of that. I'm going to repeat it. Don't hesitate to ask for help because it is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. Okay? Yeah. And the journal prompt. Where in my life do I feel stuck? What's one small, loving step? What's one small, loving step I can take today toward my healing and my wholeness? We care for you. You are worthy. You don't need to live in lack. There is abundance around you. You are worthy. You deserve the best of everything. And we'd love to work with you to get there.
Absolutely. Allow us to have the opportunity where we open up your level of vulnerability, allow you to find that joy, motivated, get you back connected, get you to be able to hear from God and your higher power in a more powerful way. You will thank yourself. Like we talked about, where will you be in 6 months? How about thanking yourself for taking the chance of choosing you first?
And subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe to us. We're grateful to have talked to you today, and we'll be back.
Bye.
All right.